Right, the next rose is really very, very special. So I've taken the time to pick it because I wanted to enjoy it up close and personal, not only for myself but also for you. This beautiful lady here is Munstead Wood. Launched by David Austin Roses in 2007, it's named after the garden in Surrey that was put together by Gertrude Jekyll, the famous garden designer. Now, many of you will have Gertrude Jekyll, the climbing and shrub rose, in your gardens, and it is a beautiful rose. And much like that rose, the scent and the fragrance on this particular plant is absolutely extraordinary. Now, beauty like this comes at a little bit of a price. You can't be this pretty and this colourful and smell this good without having some drawbacks, and the drawbacks really are the thorns. Now, I'm not sure if it is closely related to a moss rose, but it has a very large amount of thorns. Can you see those there? This is a new leader, a new cane coming from the bottom of my plant. My plant is around 7 years old. It's nice and big and strong, but you can see these really, really large thorns on her. So if you're picking this particular rose, you do need to dethorn it before you can handle it. And I wanted to pick this shoot for two reasons. One, to show you the large barbed thorns on it that you must be aware of when working close to this plant, because it's bitten me on several occasions and it really is very, very painful. The other thing I wanted to show to you is the beautiful colour of the new foliage, bronzed red, which flushes to a mid-green. You can see the pigment just flushing out of it there as this shoot develops. So a lovely, lovely flame red scarlet tip with that beautiful, beautiful dark red cassis coloured flower. Absolutely stunning. The buds are big, they are beautiful. I'm just trying to get back in there. You can see that here. Really, really lovely, completely tight and green to begin with, and then as soon as those the sepals peel back, the bud is beautiful crimson red as well, but the flower is absolutely stunning. I'm going to handle this one with care. I have almost completely dethorned it, but let's get this out of the way for you so you can appreciate the colour. Absolutely stunning. A very, very deep rose, very, very flat on its profile. The fragrance is utterly beautiful, very, very heady, an old English rose fragrance, something you're going to really, really sort of take you back to your childhood, the way your roses smelt in your grandma's garden way, way, way back when. Heavy, strong, fruity, rich, deep, carries beautifully on the wind, and unlike an awful lot of the roses that flower these days, the scent carries well. So a lot of them will need a really, really warm day to get the scent moving. This particular rose will smell whether it's cold or whether it's warm. The first ones as they open don't smell particularly, but as they warm up and over in their second and third days as they're open, a really, really beautiful rose. As it opens, I don't want to ruin this particular one too much. As it opens, you have got yellow petals right in the centre, and these ripples of petals as the flower ages will go from the most wonderful crimson red, and they will start to fade and bleach out, and you'll get a dark sort of raspberry rippled effect to the flower as it fades. You can see the white veining starting to appear just in this particular bloom. Now, David Austin say this is a fairly small plant, reaching around 3.5 to 4 feet. Now, my experience of this particular plant is it's a great big thumping great big thing, which is not a problem when you're dealing with something that's covered in such beautiful flowers, but it is big. I have mine, she's about 7 years old, came with us from our last house. It's been transplanted and she stands at around 4.5 feet high before flowering. Again, that might be down to my pruning regime, but I picked this one from literally head high. So this is nearly 5 feet at flowering, and this will probably reach somewhere in the region of 6 feet this year. But if you do have the space for Munstead Wood, I've heard rumours it's been discontinued. I've checked on the David Austin website today before I filmed your video, and it is available to order for the 2021 bare root season into 2022. So it still seems to be a live plant that you can get hold of, but it is well worth seeking out if you have the space for the back of a border, or for anywhere that you have the space up against a fence, for instance. It does need a little bit of support. I use the trusty old sight pins around mine, just 3 or 4 sunk into the ground, and I tie the large canes into that just to give it a little bit of support and let it go from there. It does get a bit floppy. This one does suffer a little bit with a black spot. If it's a particularly dry year like it was last year, this poor plant dropped almost about 40% of its leaves. I've now got an irrigation system working on this, so I'm hoping to completely alleviate that and never see that problem again. But just to let you know, it is a little bit susceptible to the black spot and a little bit susceptible to powdery mildew. But Munstead wood from David Austin Roses is the most beautiful, romantic cassis red plant with the most beautiful fragrance. So if you have the space for something this size, seek it out, add it to your collection. It's well worth the space.